When I heard that America has killed the supreme leader of Iran, the first thing that came to mind is again, America has done it again. But then, you will believe that this is the first time America is actually directly involved in the killing of a president or the head of a particular country, of another country. Say, sure? Are you sure? Yes, even though the question or the information that is reaching me today as I'm recording this video now is that one of the successors that has just been announced as the new supreme leader of Iran has also been killed just few hours after it was announced, making it two. But then we can still say one, Ali Khamenei. Ladies and gentlemen, I know you are feeling like you want to disagree with me, but don't disagree with me. Let me explain. They have been involved in the killing of some leaders who are not presidents, who are not what's it called now, heads of a particular country. Isoroku Yamamoto in 1943, who happened to be a commander-in-chief of the Imperial Japanese Navy during the World War II. They killed him, but he was not the head of state, even though he was the top national military leader. Osama bin Laden, you must remember Osama bin Laden. Ladies and gentlemen, yes, September 11 attack. Osama bin Laden, he was the leader of Al-Qaeda, was killed by US Navy SEALs in Pakistan, but he was not a head of state. Don't forget that. Also, we have Qasem Soleimani of Iran in 2020. Qasem Soleimani was the commander of Iran's Quds Force, but he was not the head of state as well. And of course, we have Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi in 2019, who was the leader of ISIS. These people were directly killed by America, but they were not sitting presidents or heads of state. So who are the heads of states that America has been involved in their killing, but not directly? Like I said, Ali Khamenei remains the first head of state that America will be directly involved in his killing. And he has been the supreme leader of Iran since 1989. And of course, he was killed a few days ago. I think that should be on Saturday by by a strike from the United States and Israel. They were doing a collaboration. And of course, they struck Iran and they killed their supreme leader. But that is not where it ends. Where am I going? I'm telling you that this is the first time America is doing this. But if you don't think twice, if you don't observe, if you're not careful, you will think America has been doing this for a long time. But that is not the case. So what is the case? There are some wonderful world leaders. When I say wonderful, wonderful in quote, that America has been involved in their killings, but not directly, indirectly. Number one that I want to start with is our own brother in Africa, Patrice Lumumba of the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Yes, Patrice Lumumba became even more popular this year after AFCON when they paid tribute to him, but he was killed on the 17th of January 1961. Ladies and gentlemen, he was the democratically elected president, the first one democratically elected president of DR Congo, and was executed, like I said, on January 17, 1961, following a CIA-backed coup. It was a coup, but then it was backed by the CIA. And of course, the Belgian government too, they were involved. It was a Congolese group by him brothers. Why the coup was sponsored? Because they feared that it was a communist, and of course it was a threat to the Cold War between the US and Russia at that time. Because what he did was he sought the help of Russia. Of the Soviet Union rather, he sought their help, and America started seeing him as a threat. They started seeing him as an ally of their enemy, and that was how they opened him up for attack, and they sponsored the coup by his fellow Congolese. In fact, we heard that when he was captured, America facilitated his transfer to enemies' hands in Katanga, and that was where he was tortured and murdered. But then, like I said, America was not directly involved. They saw him as Congo Castro because Fidel Castro was in Cuba, and of course he was showing America shege. Yes, shege means he was showing them problem that year, and they don't want another repeat of that. So in fact, we heard that they were trying to assassinate him earlier. They tried to poison him, they tried to do this, they tried to do that, but it did not work until they sponsored a coup against him by one of his brothers, and they installed another dictator, Joseph Mobutu, after he was killed. Yes, the classified documents confirmed that CIA, they made effort to remove him politically, but when they couldn't, they had to resort to the use of force, and that is for Patrice Lumumba. For South Vietnam, there is a leader called Ngo Dinh Diem. Ngo Dinh Diem was also killed indirectly. On the 2nd of November 1963, the South Vietnamese president Ngo Dinh Diem and his brother Nu were assassinated during a CIA-backed military coup led by General Duong Van My. Following months of brutal anti-Buddhist repression, frustration and increasing unpopularity. That time, the president of the US was Kennedy, and of course his administration, they withdrew support. They were supporting him actively, and everybody knew that United States, they were supporting this particular administration. And of course, when they withdrew their support, they announced it, signaling green light to anybody that wants to attack him, that his covering has been removed, so you can go ahead to attack him now. And of course, why did they do that? Iran has been in power since 1955. He became increasingly autocratic, and his brother, controlling police and secret service, knew in 1963, May of 1963, the soldiers fired on Buddhists, and that sparked a massive protest and religious discrimination and everything. They tried to rein him in, but the guy could not be controlled. So one way or the other, on the November 1st, 1963, the Army of Republic of Vietnam, they launched an attack on the presidential palace, and that was where they killed him and they killed his brother. In fact, they ran away, they escaped, and they hid themselves for a day. But after that first day, the second day they came out, they surrendered, but unfortunately, they were still murdered. But they were assassinated rather. But then America was not directly involved. Unfortunately, JFK, who sanctioned the attack, who sanctioned the withdrawal, also died a few weeks after that. Call that karma. I don't know. Salvador Allende of Chile. Salvador Allende of Chile is another world leader who was indirectly, according to records, killed by the United States of America. On September 11, 1973, Chilean President Salvador Allende, he died by suicide. Yes, he committed suicide during a violent military coup led by General Augusto Pinochet. And of course, he was actually supported by the US government and CIA. Allende, the first democratically elected Marxist in Latin America, faced intense internal economic turmoil and US-backed opposition, and that led to the destruction of the La Muenda presidential palace. Ladies and gentlemen, he was elected in 1970, like I said, and the man has been on. The administration viewed Allende as a communist threat and worked for 3 years to destabilize his government. They provide covert funding to opposition media, political parties, labor strikes. They sponsored all sorts, but this guy was not just giving in, so they had to sponsor a coup against him. But the man was, in the language of my people, who will say the man is a brave man, because he said rather than being executed, he committed suicide by using a gun. He killed himself, and like I said, he was considered a brave man. And of course, we have the one that you may know very well, Muammar Gaddafi of Libya. Muammar Gaddafi is another person that was killed on the 20th of October 2011 near his hometown of Sirte. Ladies and gentlemen, it was a NATO-backed uprising during the 2011 Libyan civil war. After his convoy was intercepted by a NATO airstrike, he had a convoy protecting him, and the convoy was struck by NATO, and of course thereby exposing him and making him vulnerable to people who wanted to attack him. Of course, he was attacked, and following the Arab Spring, a UN-authorized NATO-led intervention began in March 2011 to stop Gaddafi forces from attacking rebels in Benghazi. The US under President Obama adopted a leading-from-behind approach, providing crucial intelligence, drone strikes, and logistics, while NATO allies took the lead on air sorties. On October 20, 2011, a convoy attempting to evacuate Gaddafi from Sirte was attacked by a French airstrike and an American drone. Rebel forces captured and killed him. Ladies and that marked the end of his 42-year reign, resulting in widespread celebration in Libya. But then, that has led to a power vacuum that since then I'm not sure they are yet to recover from. So that makes another leader that was indirectly executed by the United States, but not directly. Saddam Hussein of Iraq, on the 30th of December 2006, he was executed by hanging in Baghdad following his conviction for crimes against humanity by an Iraqi tribunal. But who captured him? The United States. They captured him in December 2003 during a US-led invasion of Iraq. His trial was a pivotal moment in the aftermath of the 2003 war, and of course, it was initiated based on false intelligence regarding weapon of mass destruction. That is the unfortunate thing about that. This man was killed because of an allegation of weapon of mass destruction, which later turned out to be false. But then it was late. Ladies and gentlemen, they captured him through Operation Iraqi Freedom. That was 20th of March 2003. They invaded Iran, and of course, they removed Saddam. They said he had weapon, like I said. And of course, Baghdad fell. They entered in March. By April 2003, Baghdad fell and Saddam had to go into hiding. On December 13, from the U.S. troops from the 4th Infantry Division, they captured Saddam during Operation Red Dawn. They found him hiding in a spider hole near a farmhouse, and that was where they handed him over. And then he was tried. What was he tried for? He was tried for the killings of 148 people in the town of Dujail in 1982. You can imagine. He was executed based on, I don't want to say trumped up charges, but charges of people that he killed in 1982. But according to reports, they say this guy was responsible for the death of over 250,000 Iraqis, while others saw him as a leader opposing foreign intervention. You know, it was always like that. The removal of Saddam led to the collapse of his regime, but also created a power vacuum, fueling a violent insurgency and sectarian violence in Iraq till date. Ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, history repeated itself on the 1st of March 2006. After a 37-year reign of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, the supreme leader of Iran, was cut short. Yes, cut short after 39 years. After 37 years. It's quite unfortunate. They call it Operation Epic Fury, and the assault involved the Israeli Air Force and the United States Air Force. At approximately 8:10 local time by February 28th, Israeli jets dropped roughly 30 bombs on Khamenei's secure compound in Tehran. The strike targeted a meeting between Khamenei and senior advisors. He was having a meeting with his senior advisors. They dropped the bomb and then he was killed. Unfortunately, he was not the only one killed, and this is not the first time they tried to kill him. He survived a 1981 assassination attempt by an explosive-laden tape recorder, and that paralyzed his right arm. If you check all his pictures, he's always raising the left hand. The right hand has been paralyzed since 1981. But in June 2025, Israeli assassination plan was reportedly vetoed by the US before the 2026 operation was finalized. Ladies and gentlemen, it's so unfortunate that he did not die alone. Like I said, we learned that he died with his daughter. He died with his son-in-law. As of this afternoon, today is the 2nd day of March, we heard on good authority that his wife too has died. And the unfortunate part was that after declaring 40-day mourning and everything, they announced 3 people who will take over the leadership of Iran. Masoud Pezeshkian, the president of Iran. They called another one Gholam Hossein Mohseni Ejei, the chief justice, and Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, a senior cleric from the Guardian Council. As of this afternoon, we heard that Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, the new leader, has also been killed by another airstrike. So that is said, making 2 presidents that has been killed directly by airstrike from the United States. People are saying that his son will succeed him, but that is not the truth. That is not the truth. Other officials that were killed with him include the security advisor to the supreme leader, Iran Armed Force Chief of Staff, Minister of Defense, IRGC Commander-in-Chief, a lot of them. They died with him, and that is the end of an era. Do you think what United States is doing is actually what they should be doing? According to the video released by Trump, he said, we have the power to stop them from doing what they are doing, and we think it's our duty to stop them. And that's exactly what they are doing. But people have been saying that this thing happened in Iraq, this same thing happened in Afghanistan, this something happened in in Libya, but up till date, they are not better for it. Do you think United States of America, coupled with all their allies in the world, do you think they have made another major mistake, or do you think this is a step in the right direction? What do you think? Let's comment in the comment section. Thank you.